A new update in the James Harden rumor sparks some interesting thoughts about what could be next. Meanwhile, Doc Rivers finds a new gig, and the Sixers almost had a tragedy. We'll break all of it down here on Philly Take with RB.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome into the show. Like always, hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Be sure to subscribe, and as always, ring that bell down below. That way you don't miss any of the coverage. We will be back doing some live streams soon. We'll continue to bring the videos, but as we all know, August usually tends to be the driest month before things really ramp up in September for training camp, etc. You know, we'll get back into our game coverage. We have a lot of cool things planned. But if you are rocking with me, if you're rocking with the show, you've been supporting for a long time, be sure to drop a comment down below. Keep hitting that like button and showing your support. Today, we are back, and we have a few new developments in the James Harden stuff. We'll talk about what it means. And I find that there's something going under the radar in terms of like a connection between Harden and another NBA situation going on right now. And I want to talk about why I think that could be relevant. But I want to start off with some scary news that came out yesterday. Shout out to Pat Bev, who does a great job on his own podcast, the Pat Bev Pod. And I was tuning in, listening to that. However, there was a little bit of an almost tragedy, some scary news where Pat Bev opened up about his recent trip to Europe. He was vacationing with a couple other NBA guys, and he actually almost drowned. So first off, prayers to Pat Bev. Glad he is okay. That would have been an insane twist in the Sixers offseason. It's already been weird enough, but glad to hear that he is doing okay. And I'm not going to play the whole clip, but essentially Pat Bev on his show talked about how he almost drowned. He was doing a workout, I think on a boat in the ocean or something, and he tried to come up and he was swallowing water, and the guy kept telling him to keep going and keep going. And look, man, just a crazy scenario. And, you know, he said he was actually laying down after they got him out of the water. He was down for like 38 minutes, I think. And, you know, they just had to let him chill, drink some water. And, you know, he said for like a couple hours, he was just out of it. So glad to hear that Pat Bev is okay. We know he's coming back strong, and he is going to be a dog for this team. He's going to be fierce. Glad to have him here. The next thing in terms of news today, how about Doc Rivers forming a big three? Doc Rivers forming a big three on ESPN. Doc Rivers has been hired to be on the broadcast crew next year. I can already hear the subliminal shots that he will be taking at the Sixers organization, the fans, etc. I can already hear them like on a regular Wednesday night. You know, somebody makes a comment about the fans or some player, and he just starts talking about how he's a championship coach and how they didn't get it done in Philadelphia, etc., etc. But I do find it interesting, man. They got rid of Jeff Van Gundy. We knew that. And today they let go of Mark Jackson. So they let go of both of those guys. And Doc Rivers and Doris Burke will now be rounding out the three with Mike Breen on ESPN. What do we think about that? That's a crazy twist to this offseason, man. That is a crazy twist. Who knows if Doc Rivers is ever going to coach again? I mean, depending on how much he makes here, I mean, why go back, right? Why go to a team, you know, maybe next year, right? If there's like a rebuilding team or something. But I don't know if anybody's going to, you know, bring Doc in and say he's the guy to get us over the top. So shout out to Doc Rivers. He lands a new gig on ESPN. Let's talk about the James Harden stuff. A report came out a little while ago, really some comments from Ramona Shelburne, where she says that Daryl Morey has made it, quote, pretty clear that the Sixers are going to entertain trade conversations involving James Harden. We already know that. And Ramona was on NBA Today, so you know, they usually have these reporters on for a few minutes and they give some insight. Again, most of it we already know, but here is what Ramona had to say. There are a couple of other teams, including the Clippers, interested in acquiring the 10-time All-Star. So now this is really the first time that we hear that there's other teams involved, right? As of right now, there doesn't seem to be much value, right? No team is willing to go over the ledge and overpay for James Harden, but if there are some whispers that other teams could be involved, that could kind of make this a little more of an interesting mix. And I want to talk real quick on a side note about a situation that happened recently. We'll get back to the James Harden stuff, but the NBA had informed Damian Lillard and his agent that any future comments about Dame only wanting to play for the Miami Heat would, quote, potentially subject him to discipline. In fact, they sent a memo out to all of the teams in the NBA. They sent a memo to Lillard and his agent. They sent a memo out to the teams like, yo, you got to chill. You have to cut this out. No tampering, no only wanting to go to one destination. And, you know, we know the whole situation that has been going on. It's like, it's really unfair, right? There's only one team in the mix. And, you know, then the Blazers are kind of stepping back saying, well, we don't have to trade Dame, right? If there's only one team you want to go to, even though you are the best player ever in our organization's history, if we're not getting the compensation back that we deserve, you're not going anywhere. And I agree with that from the Blazers standpoint. There's been a lot of discussion, debate recently, but, you know, that can't happen, right? Because it seems like we're living in a fantasy world over the last couple years when it comes to a lot of these trades. Like, I agree 100% it should not be allowed for Dame to just say, I'm going here, nowhere else, because then, you know, you just create this imbalance with these trade talks. Why even sign a contract at that point? But I find it interesting, the connection there, because after this came out a few days ago, then we get the news or the new report about James Harden and there being other teams interested. Could this potentially be a push from James Harden and his agent to kind of make it seem like, oh, we're not doing that same thing. You know, we're not only pushing, because the original report and really anything up to this point has only said James Harden wants to be a Clipper. He wants to go to the Clippers. He wants to play with Paul George. He wants to play with Kawhi Leonard, and he doesn't want to go anywhere else. And the Clippers, on the other hand, are saying, well, okay, you only want to come here? Fine, we have leverage. We're not even giving up Terrence Mann in the deal. So that's an interesting little connection there, and maybe we'll see more developments, but I expect it to really go dry and quiet for a couple weeks, and maybe we'll get more information on the situation, and then we can finally start to talk about what this team could look like. Right now, it's just up in the air. We really don't know. We're left out to dry. Now, recently, Clippers former player Baron Davis spoke with TMZ, and this is what he had to say about James Harden potentially being traded to the Clippers. He says, I think that would be dope. The Clippers need another playmaker, somebody who can get fouled, slow the game down. They already have PG, Kawhi, Russ is back. So having James is just another dimension and another level to how they can be a bona fide contender. He went from back-to-back MVP or candidate for MVP to an all-star, then being a lead guard. Just talking about how he has switched, you know, over the years in terms of his role. And I agree with that. He says, I think he could fit anywhere, especially the Clippers. So, you know, more people saying that he fits, et cetera, et cetera. That's perfectly fine. Again, I bring it back to the surface, though. Daryl Morey's not trading him unless the Sixers get a star back or unless it makes the team better. And I just don't see a scenario for that right now. Could there be a secret team out there? Like I said, multiple teams are involved. They're interested. Could there be a special team out there, you know, that's secretly making a push for James Harden that we don't know about yet? It'll be tough, but, you know, there are possibilities, especially if you start to look into 3 or 4 team trades. So that's what Baron Davis had to say. And again, just as a reminder, here's what Tracy McGrady said. He said, quote, it doesn't make any sense for you to leave the MVP and the Eastern Conference where you have a shot to at least play for a championship. So a lot of back and forth here. Who knows what's going to happen at this point? It's always drama filled when it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers. I can't wait, honestly, until this is over. Then we can finally start to talk about what the team will look like, what Nick Nurse can do with these guys, and really what the future will shape out to be, right? We know it's a big year this upcoming year, but Daryl Morey's been talking a lot. He's been hinting about 2024. You know, is this kind of the last hurrah? Is this the last chance for this team to really get over the top? And maybe we see a lot of changes made next offseason. I don't want to get too far, but a lot of things to think about here. So will James Harden come back? Will he leave? Does he still want to get traded? Is Daryl Morey secretly working on something with another team? Give me all your thoughts down below in the comments section. As always, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.